Not every transformation requires a full renovation. In fact, some of the most beautiful homes I've designed were simple structures made meaningful through intentional choices. I'm Devin Rose Owens, a designer focused on blending beauty, function, and faith, and today I'm sharing 7 elevated ways to bring timeless character into your home without tearing down the walls. I've worked with everything from older home remodels to new builds, and here's what I found. That soul and character aren't built with square footage or budgets. They're created with intention. I always like to tie things back to the Bible, and I just think about Proverbs 31 and how we're reminded that caring for our home is a reflection of wisdom and stewardship. And when we design with care, we invite beauty and peace into our daily lives, and that honors God. So here's 7 designer-approved ways that we can add character without having to actually remodel your home. We can add architectural detailing, trim, molding, and paneling. Simple applied molding or baseboard upgrades can transform your space from just completely boring and flat to absolutely elevated and transformational. I think when you go into older homes especially, you'll see craftsman homes with detailed woodworking or Victorian homes that have almost like lace details in their trim work. And you don't have to go that intricate if you don't want to, but giving a baseboard more detailing, add crown molding. A lot of homes, especially newer builds, don't even come with crown molding anymore. So just adding a crown molding, even if it's simple, is just gonna add texture and layering to your new build home or to your builder grade style home. It will give you those detailing that an older character home would have without having to do like a full-on renovation. Now, you can DIY these. You'll probably, unless you're an experienced DIYer, are gonna have to hire a contractor or at least a handyman to do this kind of work. But again, it's a relatively simple addition to your existing home that doesn't require tearing anything down or starting from scratch. The second thing that I absolutely love doing is adding statement lighting. You'll hear me talk about lighting over and over and over again. It's a very simple way to add character to a home, to add personality to a home. And I think a lot of builder grade homes or new builds come with pretty standard lighting for the most part. It's not a custom home. And so going and finding the pendants for over your kitchen island that just really speak to you, or maybe give the feeling like if you hopefully you're thinking through like, what is the story I want my home to tell? So if you're kind of going for a craftsman feel, then look for a kind of a craftsman style like fixtures to put throughout your home and add that character to your home. For our house, I went with kind of a modern industrial feeling in all the lighting. I added a lot of wood details because I wanted to bring kind of the outdoors in and give that mountain feel to our home, because that's what my husband and I love. But we also wanted it to have a little bit of edginess, a lot of metals, so we did that with our lighting. And I always say the lighting is the jewelry. It's like the final touches to your outfit that just make or break it. Don't overlook the lighting. You can do things that are sculptural, you can do stained glass. There's so many options, and really you can find pretty affordable options too if that's something that is a concern of yours. I think switching out lighting is a cost-effective way to add in the character and really change the look of space. The third element that we can bring into a home to really create a lot of personality, and this one might be the simplest one, is paint. Obviously you can see I went with a lot of cream colored walls in my house because I have so many different wood tones going on. So for me, the wood tones in this area are the color or the depth and the warmth, and then all of my stonework and tile work. But I do have rooms in my home that have pink and a more gold tone and more grays and greens. And I think that adding color is a very simple way, adding color through paint, it's a very simple way to really change the feel and the mood of a room. It just evokes certain emotions. So if you are interested in what certain colors will make you feel like, you can look into like color theory. A simple Google search will tell you some stuff on color theory. And then also just think through like what you enjoy. It's your home. So don't be afraid to color drench certain spaces. So like in our bathroom, we have enclosed toilet, and I went dark green in our bathroom, and I love it. Even though it seems kind of silly, it's a small room, only my husband and I for the most part ever see it. I have a window in there so we have natural light, so I could afford to go really dark in there, and I just like it. It's a fun little pop of color in an unexpected place, and it keeps the room from being super boring. And then another area is like our sunroom in the back of the house, which is also like it's our mud room and my office. I did a dark green gray in there as well. We have a ton of windows in there. So for one, I knew we were gonna get a bunch of natural light, but also I really wanted to have that feeling of bringing the outside in. I love green. Green is one of my favorite colors. So that's what I went for, and I really just like drenched the room, ceiling, walls, everything. I think gone are the days of white ceilings, so if that's something that you have in your home, you can go ahead and get rid of that. I pretty much always paint the ceiling the same color as my walls. Now this isn't exclusive, you can play around with this, but especially if I'm doing like a lighter cream colored wall, it just doesn't make sense to me to have like a flat white, different kind of a white on the ceiling than you would have on the wall. Just carry that color all the way through, and it's just gonna help finish the space. That's tip number 3 for how you can create character and a feeling and add more to just a builder grade style home. Next up, we have tip number 4. We're talking about hardware details, cabinet pulls, switch plates, doorknobs. These are all things that are really easy to switch out. You don't need a contractor to do them. I think I've talked about this in a kitchen remodel video that I've done already. So for your hardware, if they're boring, you know, here's another way where you can tie into your lighting as well. So if anyone's confused about like, well, how many metal colors can I bring in, or finishes and things like that, simplest way would be to stick to 2 different ones, and you want to like match your lighting and hardware with one, and then do like your faucets as a second color, or you can match your faucets to your hardware and have your lighting be its own color. I definitely use lots of different tones, but I feel comfortable doing that. If it's not something that you feel comfortable doing, stick with 2 and match a couple of them. But for your hardware, you can switch out. All you have to do is measure from hole to hole if it's a bar, and from the center of the one hole to the center of the next hole is going to be your measurement for your hardware. And you can go to, you know, Home Depot, or Renovation is my favorite place for hardware, but get your poles based on that size. So, and then knobs are obviously a single hole, super easy, and you'll switch out your hardware. So find something that either goes with the Craftsman, like I said, or if you're doing more modern, find something more clean and simple. Like mid-century would be the same. You want to do something kind of more clean and simple. You don't have to worry about filling the holes because you're just matching the size of what you already have, and it's a fun way to elevate the space. You can do this with all your door hardware. I remember on our last house, like one of the first projects that I really wanted to do was paint the door and change out the hardware. So the door was kind of like a dark brown, it wasn't a real wood door. I painted it like a dark blue gray, and then I did this really beautiful chrome, like heavy knob on it. Anyways, it had a lot of contrast. It was like a nice pop on the front door. It added a lot to what was a very standard builder grade home. Again, hardware, tie it into your lighting if you're confused about that. You can change out your switch plates. I don't know if you can see any in this frame, but I have on all my white walls on this main level, I did brass switch plates. And in like my mudroom and our bedroom where we have darker walls, I did black switch plates. And so and then more brass ones as well, I believe. I just think that they're super overlooked. Maybe not something if you're building new where you want to spend the money right away. It's something you can go back and do later and switch out after, you know, you increased your budget, or, you know, just saved a little more money or whatever. But they're super easy. You can do it yourself. And all you have to do is make sure that you buy the plate that matches the type of actual switch that you have. So like if you have the flat switches, you want to make sure you don't buy a switch plate that's made for like the toggle switches. Okay, for number 5, we're talking textiles and layering of different textiles or fabrics. So this would be drapes, you know, your curtains, rugs, and any sort of upholstery pieces. This is where you're gonna add a lot of the warmth to your home. It also helps with the acoustics of your home, and choosing natural textures with rich tones and different patterns is really gonna create that intentional, finished, designed look that you would want. So in my home, we have a lot of neutral colors, especially in this room, but I have an upholstered sofa. I have a really fun textured rug. I've had this rug actually for quite a few years and I absolutely love it. It's a wool rug. I just feel like it's very durable, and it has because it has the striations and the different textures and the different variations of color in it, it hides things really well if we do get a little bit of a stain or a scratch in it. And I have like these pillows that have pattern in them, but you can see that like the coloring is very similar to what we have going on in the rug, but the pattern is different. So you're layering your pattern and your texture. This is kind of a burlap fabric in the pillow. So again, we're getting that natural textural feel that just adds warmth and character to the space. Right now I have just kind of plain beige curtains up because I was just in a rush to get something when we moved in so that we could have privacy, but my goal is to get something patterned to continue to elevate the space and continue to add that layering and the texture. I always say, like, a little tip for layering your patterns is you can mix large and small. So if you have small floral patterns on your pillows, you can go with like a larger floral pattern on your curtains, or have a floral pillows and do like a plaid on your curtains, or vice versa. Just change up the size of your prints, and that will help make it so it doesn't feel super busy with all these small prints or all these big prints that might compete with each other. The sizing of your prints really help with that layering effect. Tip number 7, meaningful vintage inspired pieces. So this is a super, well, I say easy, relatively easy way to bring in a lot of character to your space without renovating your home. I have, you can't see it, but like just behind that little bump in the wall, I have one of my great-grandmother's, actually I think it's my great-great-grandmother's writing desk that she used to have, and it's been an heirloom piece in my house. We have one of the original doors that was installed in our house in 1941 that I kept and reused as a closet door. We brought in reclaimed wood beams for different parts of our house. And these are all the things that really tell the story of our home, that add the character that we were really going for. They add, again, I use the word warmth a lot because for me that's super important in a home, to create that inviting feel. Even if the space itself, you know, I have all white walls, right? But the warmth comes in with those wood textures and the textiles and all of that, layering the different types of textures that you're bringing in. So go to your local antique store or a thrift store or your favorite vintage place and find those pieces that, you know, aren't perfect, that have the scratch and the dings and the bits of character, but really something that speaks to you personally and allows to add life to that. Or maybe you have an heirloom piece already. Don't be afraid to bring it in. It was kind of risky. I feel like I was nervous about having so many different wood tones in my house, and like the vintage door that's in our house and the woodwork that is from our heirloom pieces, they don't necessarily go with the wood tones that we intentionally had put into our house, but it all flows seamlessly. Like, I don't even think about it anymore. I've never had anybody say anything about it other than, oh wow, you did such a good job of mixing your wood tones. And I did it intentionally with the construction of the home, but the other pieces that I brought in, I just brought in what I loved. I also have an heirloom sewing table that I use as a side table over here. They're all, you know, fairly different wood tones. They are all darker, so I think that helps. I don't have like super light wood tones with super dark wood tones, but you can absolutely do that as well. Bring in those vintage pieces, bring in benches or side tables, maybe it's a chair or something that adds the story or adds to the story that you're trying to tell in your home. Okay, tip number 7, our last tip, design your entryway with intention. I think of this as like the handshake of your home, whether it's a mirror, a statement rug, layered lighting. Area really sets the tone for the rest of your house. You know, that first impression, besides your curb appeal, as soon as somebody walks into your home, this is what they are greeted with. And you want it to be clean, You don't want to have a bunch of clutter in your entryway. You want it to be very purposeful. For me, this kind of ties back to like the vintage piece from tip 6. But I have 500-year-old church railings that I found at a vintage market. And they were like my first really big splurge core piece I ever purchased. It's two that came together. But those are on my entryway wall, and it really tells a story of who I am, right? So I'm a very faith-based person, and I also love older character homes and charm. So it has like chippy painted wood, and it has all these really beautiful architectural details. And I just think that like that's such a reflection of who we are as a family and our faith. And you wouldn't necessarily know that they are old church railings until they tell the story, but that's part of what's fun about it. People walk in and there's automatically something to start the conversation, because they're like, what are these? You know, they look different. They don't look like your normal artwork that you would put on your wall, and you get the conversation started that way. I definitely have things in my entryway that I'm even still working on updating. We still are fixing some of the exterior portion of our home, so we don't have direct access into our mudroom at the moment. So our entryway is doubling as our mudroom, and you know, it kind of drives me nuts, and I'm really excited for the day that that won't be anymore. But when we have people come over, we do that like 10-minute reset, get all the extra shoes and all the extra coats and everything, and we clean out that front entryway, because we really want people to feel welcomed into our home when they first walk in. And that's one of the best ways to do it. Have a place for them to put their shoes or their purses or their coats, be able to sit down comfortably to take their shoes on and off if you're a no shoes home. The inviting conversation piece when they first walk in. So I just want to finish with a little reminder that God isn't just functional, He's a creator of beauty. When we cultivate our homes with intention, we mirror His nature, and your home doesn't need to be perfect or overly expensive to be sacred. It just needs to be loved on. If you're ready to add depth and soul into your home, but you need expert guidance, check out either my curated mood boards in Etsy. There's a link in the show notes here, or you can book a virtual consultation through that, or you can go to my website. Just connect with me. I'd absolutely love to help you. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can get more faith-filled, character-driven design guidance, and share this video with a friend. I really appreciate if you made it all the way to this point. Thank you for being here. Leave me comments. Let me know what you're interested in. I really want to create these videos for you. This channel is not just a place for me to talk. I want to be helpful. So bless you, and I'll see you on the next one.